And they talk the one wey happen, another one don't still happen. No be small thing, they say this man, what do they call Mike? That man no allow Tinubu to rest. They say US is not backing down in the Christian genocide in Nigeria. And the man also called for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu unconditional release. You see US. US must intervene, especially now wey be say Turkey. One be like say they wan come take ground. US no go allow wetin happen for Iran repeat itself. Despite how interested they are in Nigeria. My people, just dey watch as this thing dey play. Watch the full video. Listen very well so that you can understand wetin talk for these videos.
Arise International, which today runs schools for more than 600 displaced children in the camps that the Nigerian government says doesn't exist. He's a former mayor of Waco, Texas. And he is the author of Epicenter, Nigeria, Radical Islam and the War for Global Order, a #1 bestseller on Mike. Hello, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Everything I'm about to say is factual, so I have 19 pages of references. If anybody wants to question anything I say, it's right here, because some of it might be shocking. Nigeria, the 6th largest nation on earth, on track to be the 3rd largest by 2050. Yeah. Top 5 OPEC, $1 trillion in minerals, a cultural powerhouse. Nigerians are among the most educated and wealthy in the United States, and they do it with integrity, sharing the values that made America great. Last year, General Michael Langley, AFRICOM, declared the region anchored by northern Nigeria as the epicenter of global terror. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, others call it home. Their stated ambition, full Sharia across Nigeria, and then a global jihad launch pad. The recent Old Dominion shooter was radicalized in Nigeria. 2 scenarios. America's greatest African ally, innovative, peaceful, and prosperous, or the greatest security threat of the next generation, a Sharia exporting giant. A little bit of history. In 1804, Usman Dan Fodio waged a jihad and founded the Sokoto Caliphate, Africa's largest pre-colonial empire. Beheading, raping, destruction, displacement, 2 million slaves at its peak. This caliphate has never ended. That's North Nigeria. The British found 2 worlds, brutal Sharia North and vibrant, friendly South. They kept the caliphate intact as enforcers, indirect rule they called it, then merged the two in 1914. The South declared independence in 1967, Biafra. The civil war that followed, the British backed the North, which blockaded the South, shot down Red Cross planes. Up to 3 million, mostly children, starved to death. The South fell in 1970. Since then, power has stayed in the North by design, the Caliphate. The current constitution, imposed by Northern military dictator, mentions Sharia and Islamic terms 165 times. Christianity, 0. At least 9 billion a year in blood minerals are looted mainly by China, paying jihadis and corrupting military and political officials. There was President Goodluck Jonathan in his living room that leaned in and informed me about that. I know a lot of people there. I've been there a lot. Most of this is firsthand. Some key people that have been involved in this. Barack Obama unleashed the current genocide. In 2010, my first trip, Nigeria had an accidental Christian president, Goodluck Jonathan. Booming economy, only nation on earth where radical Islam was being pushed back. No slaughter, hardly any displaced people, just from random stuff. A northern warlord challenged Muhammadu Buhari, publicly called for Sharia law across Nigeria and globally. Boko Haram chose him to mediate with the government. Tinubu helped get him in office, the current president. David Axelrod was his campaign advisor. Obama blocked U.S. counterterrorism support to Jonathan, blocked other nations from helping. Jihadists flooded in from North Africa, villages massacred, millions displaced, raped, enslaved, kidnapped, churches burned. Buhari ran on ending the insecurity. It only got worse. Another person, the Sultan of Sokoto. He's like Pope and King to 108 million Muslims. Dan Fodio's 20th generation successor. He was a Nigerian general deployed to Pakistan and Afghanistan during the War on Terror, when we captured Nigerian fighters alongside Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. He returned and assumed the throne in 2006 and International terror tactics and organizations appeared soon after. He has never decreed an end to the killing or mineral looting in his domain, but he's called social media a terror organization. In 2025, he publicly supported the push for Sharia in traditionally Christian southern states. President Bola Tinubu, if that's his real name. In 1993, he forfeited $460,000 to a federal court in Chicago and fled the United States. That was proceeds from a heroin trafficking ring, which, by the way, heroin funds 37% of jihad around the world. He has appointed a man to rewrite the national curriculum whose defining credential is the book, The Islamization of Knowledge, which explicitly calls for intellectual jihad to oust Western education from nursery schools up to universities. This is academic Boko Haram by definition. And this is the guy that Tinubu put in charge of the curriculum of 50 million African Nigerian children. His new defense chief called the terrorists prodigal sons who deserve rehabilitation. That's the defense chief. NSA Nuhu Ribadu personally called me on October 5th to be Nigeria's Jane Fonda. It is documented he armed Miyeti Allah, the Fulani militia chaired by the Sultan and named in HR 7457 for potential FEO organization. He has publicly called the terrorists brothers. Mossad Bulus, Trump's senior advisor for Africa and the Middle East, holds multiple citizenships, including Nigerian, lived in Lagos for decades. He parrots verbatim talking points of terror-linked northern imams. He is CEO of his family company, which currently profits from multi-billion-dollar no-bid contracts issued by the Tinubu administration, issued to his business partner. He sells the heavy equipment to build the no-bid billion-dollar, $13 billion in projects. This is Trump's senior advisor. He's also Tiffany Trump's father-in-law. Examples of ongoing failures and impunity. Ngoshe, Borno State, wiped out in the Gwoza massacre of 2014. The government recently assured refugees in Cameroon it was safe for them to return, paid them to return. Within weeks, on March 3rd, Boko Haram slaughtered dozens, more than 300 abducted into slavery, including the wife and daughter of a friend of mine. The military was largely AWOL. The attacks continue there. Deborah Samuel Yakubu, 2022, college student. After finals, she posted on WhatsApp, "Jesus is the greatest. He helped me pass my exams." The next day on campus, as professors and police watched, she was beaten, stoned, tires heaped on her, and burned alive, while students filmed selfies in front of the flames celebrating. The deputy imam of the National Mosque, who performed President Buhari's daughter's wedding, publicly justified the killing within 24 hours on his own Twitter account. No one was punished. Nnamdi Kanu, British Nigerian broadcaster from London, illegally abducted from Kenya, tried under a defunct law, now serving life in Sokoto prison for words spoken in Great Britain. Meanwhile, the Northern Imam just recently offered a 1 million naira bounty for the head of a pastor, then doubled it to taunt his critics. No charges, no condemnation from officials. I've been corresponding with the guy. He helped him get to a safe house, but he and his family are in danger and they need help. The Nigerian government goes to great expense to rehabilitate the killers, while millions of innocent displaced victims are denied, neglected, and dying. The narrative war. The farmer, herder, and climate change framing started in the Obama State Department. The original reference document was written by a career Sharia propagandist hired by George Soros. At least $10 million confirmed U.S. lobbying contracts are now running. Former Trump administration officials, Nigerian government lobbyists, Northern imams, foreign agents, conflicted advisors, and now even Russian state television are among those working to shield this regime from accountability. The real narrative is this: Nigeria is in the throes of an Islamic conquest. Since 2009, they have slaughtered as many as 125,000 Christians and 60,000 Muslims. This is not simply religious freedom issue. This is national and global security. The emergency, as many as 10 to 12 million, mostly youth, are now displaced. 50-60% chance of radicalization by 2030 without intervention. Most are denied by the government, who call them beggars and criminals. Without intervention, this could yield 5 to 6 million more jihadists over the next 5 to 6 years. Intervention is not hard. The international community has the money and the mandate to help if the displaced are simply recognized. In 2015, the UNHCR documented multiple displacement camps in Abuja. Today, they deny those camps exist. I have run schools in those same camps since 2020. They do exist. I affirm the cycle of violence is not inborn or inevitable. A lot of Americans write it off. Oh, that's just what they do. Yes, the children who saw their parents hacked to death often come to our schools wanting to go back and get revenge. But I can tell you, with an education, they gain character, hope, and vision, and they want to go back to rebuild. What must happen? Nigeria has long been strangled by radical Islamists, predatory extraction, globalist meddling, and institutional corruption. Working with the Nigerian government to end the genocide is like working with the Third Reich to end the Holocaust. They smile and spin as they wait for Trump to leave office. Since CPC designation, killing and impunity have only gotten worse. Sanctions will not work. Visa bans will not work. They're ideologues, and they'll just pivot east. Intentional denial of recognition and aid to displaced people, intentional denial of recognition and aid in this circumstance meets the legal standard of genocide. This is provable. Indict the Tinubu administration. Arrest them. They're guilty of genocide. And it's provable. Conduct a valid census and evidentiary briefing of the displaced. They are our witnesses to genocide and they need help. Investigate the Sultan of Sokoto as a terror sponsor. Circumstantial evidence demands it. We know where the militant camps are. Wipe them out. Bring the enablers to justice. Demand the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and other prisoners of conscience. Offer asylum protection to them and others threatened by this regime. Ensure a free election in 2027. It could be done for the cost of a Tomahawk missile volley. Tinubu was declared the winner with less than 9 million votes in a nation of 230 million. A free election changes everything. Let the people vote on a new constitution and self-determination. Like so many other British colonial contraptions designed to fail, separation is likely inevitable, and it is just. The time is now. Nigeria is at a crossroads. It will become either a peaceful, prosperous ally or a massive launchpad for global jihad. There is no going back to the status quo. If the world turns away after this unprecedented scrutiny, the backlash will be bloody and absolute. The window is closing. We must call this what it is and intervene now, or the current genocide will grow and draw more innocent blood, not just there, but here in the United States. Thank you.
Wow. I gotta know you.
Guys, if you don't share my video, if you are not sharing my video before, you see this particular one, you must share them. This video is for your own good. This video is for your own good. I know that most of you people go mute immediately you hear talking. You didn't say anything. And now US have seen now a lot of Yorubas will come outside from their shackle and start talking nonsense. But share this video. Let us make this video to go viral. I want this video to hit 1 million. Share it in all the whole group you are in Facebook. This is the only way you can do your own work. Not by church or not by commenting. I say the comment. Share.